Being a good neighbour is not always about grand gestures. It could be having a cup of tea with a neighbour that you know is a little bit lonely. It might be doing a bit of shopping for someone who doesn't have friends or relatives to do it for them. You might be feeling a little bit lonely or isolated yourselves. We have a website called Gizmo here at Voluntary Action Rotherham, and it's got lots of information about groups and activities that you can join. You might want to do a little bit of volunteering yourself. We can help you again here at Voluntary Action Rotherham, but on Gizmo there's also lots of information about groups and activities and organisations where you might want to pitch in and do a little bit of volunteering. This film shows lots of people and examples of volunteering, but also being a good neighbour. And the film shows that kindness and caring can really change people's lives.
Okay, I've been concerned about loneliness in Rotherham for some time. That's why I insisted and worked hard with several council officers to make sure that it became part of the Health and Wellbeing Board key aims. One of those is a wider determinants of health, and loneliness fits into that. Experts reckon that to be lonely is the same health impact of smoking 10 cigarettes a day, and that really does bring it home how important it is. So it's been with us for some time. It doesn't just affect older people, it affects younger people too. Isolation isn't quite the same. You can be isolated, you can live in a lonely house, but still on its own. It can still not be lonely. So we need to differentiate between loneliness and isolation. Isolation, loneliness can bring depression, can bring health problems, which is one of the reasons why we're so concerned about it in Rotherham.
I've done a lot of work with young people in Rotherham where they've talked about their experience of loneliness. But I think what the pandemic did was it really brought it to everybody's attention again. And I think it highlighted different groups perhaps that we'd not considered before really. And I think it really showed us that we all had a responsibility around loneliness as well, and that we all needed to do our bit during that, particularly during the months where we were under heavy restrictions really, but to watch out for each other.
Yorkshire folk are renowned for being friendly and renowned for having those communities. So we need to reach out to people, we need to show that and prove to people that is true. So we need to think through, what can we do? If you know that somebody's lonely, phone them up, go around and see them, ask them around for a cup of coffee. If you're able to, say to them, let's meet up for a walk in the park. Walking in the park or in a green space is great for mental health, and it's great for walking with somebody, being COVID safe and getting rid of that isolation, working to be lonely. Phone them, text them. If you're not social media literate, write to them. It's a forgotten art, but we can all do it. If a club or activity that you've been involved in is starting to open up, then as long as you feel it's safe, go back to it. Say to your neighbour, I'm going to this club, you might like it, why don't you want to come along as well? Talk to them about what's going to happen when the pandemic isn't so serious. It's always going to be here, unfortunately, but I think it's going to go down to be just like the flu. So we need to think about what can we do now and in the future so that we get over this isolation, this loneliness. So basically, talk to people, listen to people, be with people in any way you can. Social media, phone, write to them, whatever way you can.
I mean, there's lots of places people might try. So, for example, Gizmo website, that's Voluntary Action Rotherham's website, that's a good place to go to find out about community groups in your area. Some people like the feel of joining a community group. For other people, loneliness might be addressed by just doing things in their own time, and, you know, just on a one-to-one basis. So it might be that they want to go to the website, council website, for ideas. So on the council website, we've got something called the 5 Ways to Wellbeing. And they're just very simple messages about how people can look after their mental health and well-being. But a lot of them will also apply to addressing loneliness as well. So we talk about being active, so that might be walking, that might be doing some gardening. You know, there'll be various walking groups out there that people can find out about, and they're a good way of getting to know people in a very safe environment. And obviously at the minute, a lot of people are really worried about still kind of going into enclosed spaces. So anything where you can meet people outside is just hugely beneficial and reduces that anxiety for people. Then there are other things around connecting with others, so the groups that you might join or things that some of our museums might be hosting and galleries that you might want to go and have a look at. Libraries are an excellent source of information and support as well. Then the G is about giving of your time, so thinking about giving of your time to volunteer and help somebody else. And as bizarre as it might seem, if you're lonely, sometimes reaching out to somebody else is not only addressing your own loneliness, but you're helping somebody else. It's beneficial for two people. And then it's about learning as well. Keeping learning is another step. So again, think about courses that you might want to do, skills that you might want to pick up. And then the final one is about taking notice. And that's just about being, outside and enjoying things, taking a minute to reflect rather than living in the future and worrying about the future or worrying about the past. It's living in the here and now. So those are the 5 steps that we talk about in terms of 5 ways. We also, in Rotherham, asked many people about what they'd done during the pandemic to keep themselves happy and healthy. And we pulled together something called the Great Big Rotherham To-Do List. And that's also available on the council website for people to go and have a look at. And then finally, one of the other websites that we promote is something called Rotherhive. And that is a website around mental health and well-being. And it's got lots of information on there, how to keep yourself well, services that you might need to know about, different mental health issues, and lots of self-help information. So that's a really good website. And for young people, we've got a website called Coop, and that covers a variety of mental health issues. It's got safe online chat, magazine stories that people can read about, and one-to-one counselling as well. So for young people, that's a really good go-to site. I would say if you go to the Rotherhive website, that's got lots of our kind of mental health support information out there and different services. If people are in a crisis situation, then there'll be numbers on that site as well. We've also in Rotherham got a website called Be The One, which is about addressing suicide prevention and supporting people that might be thinking about suicide. And we are very mindful that affects many people of all different ages, and we want people to be able to access help. But also if you're worried about somebody, we want people to know how to ask that question and where to go to for help. So that's a good place, and there's lots of contact information on that website, both national and local organisations that people can go to.
My top tips of being a good neighbour are, first of all, to listen. That's so important, because if someone's feeling lonely, they don't want you talking to them, talking over them. So reach out to them, listen to them. Secondly, don't think it has to be something big. You don't have to have a high tea in your back garden when the sun's shining. All you need to do is to lean over the garden fence, or as you're walking down the street, somebody you know, have a chat to them and say, how are you? How's it going? Talk to somebody and invite them around for a cup of coffee. So I think it's the little things that matter the most, not necessarily the big things. Big things are important, but it's those little things, and it's listening.
I think I would say don't assume somebody else is going to do that for somebody. So if you see somebody that you think might need help, don't assume somebody else is already looking after that person. You be that person to reach out. And just the simple things, just smiling and just saying hello. For some people, they might not have spoken to somebody for days, and you just stopping and taking time out of your busy day to do that. And let's not forget the things that we did during the pandemic when things were really hard for everybody. Let's keep doing those things and reaching out to others where we live and where we work as well. Because sometimes it might be where we work. We've got people that may be, in this remote and hybrid working that don't talk to people for many days. So if we all take a few minutes out of our day to think about reaching out to somebody, it'll make a huge difference.
If you are interested in volunteering, please visit our website. We've got more than 60 roles that you could have a look at, from gardening to admin, health and social care, befriending. There's something out there for everyone. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you've been inspired to be a good neighbour. A young person once said to me that one person can make 100% difference. Could you be that one person?